Who's going to win the Guineas now, Josh? People will want to know.
Well, let's just end it there. Hello and welcome back to Let's Talk Racing. Andrew, I apologise, we apologise for not uploading a video. We did make an entry preview, we recorded one. Unfortunately, it never got out. Timings didn't work, I couldn't edit it, and yeah, that was that. It was disappointing, but did you enjoy the week anyway?
Yeah, it was a brilliant week. It was unfortunate not to get the video out, and of course you're going to tell everyone you backed a 33-1 horse in the video that nobody's ever seen. So, of course, Pete, you hear his empty words all the day. But no, it was a brilliant 3 days. Look, the Grand National, everyone's eulogising over Rachel Blackmore, and rightly so. It was a brilliant ride and a brilliant training performance from Henry de Bromhead, and I'm sure going ahead into this weekend at Sandown and next week at Punchestown, they'll be looking to finish the season very strong.
Was the icing on the cake on a brilliant season that she's had. Cheltenham, she dominated, and then to win the National as well. It's just ridiculous, isn't it? Absolutely ridiculous. And Henry de Bromhead,
he's been brilliant all year. He's got a fantastic stock of horses in there. Obviously now he's got a few of the Cheveley Park horses as well, which is brilliant. But the majority of these horses he already had in his care this year, so it's fantastic for him and his stable down in Watford. They're a very hard working stable, and Rachel, well, she's been brilliant for a few years, but this year has been, I suppose, the crown and glory in terms of the wider public sphere. And I suppose racing has had a few negative stories, certainly leading up to Cheltenham, and certainly Rachel and Henry's story has managed to get racing back on the front pages in the best possible way.
It was absolutely wonderful to see, and she really did put racing back on the map and in the widespread media for a positive note as well, which is absolutely brilliant. One of the other reasons why we've not made a video for so long is we're working on some bits and bobs in the background, hopefully something that you can get involved in as well, so stay tuned for that. But today's video is going to be a Sandown preview. It's the final of the jump season. Tell you what, it's extremely depressing. You come over for Aintree as well, and you still dominate that. I don't know how it works. And you've got one in the big one as well at the weekend. Rachel Blackmore's coming over. If you think you're farming that, you can think again. Okay, I'm going to be at the airport making sure that plane cannot land. I'll be on the runway. You're going back home. It's not happening. If you do enjoy this video, please make sure you hit a like button. It really helps the channel, and subscribe if you are new. But let's get stuck into the action. We've got 6 races to preview. The first one comes at 1:55. It's a Novices handicap hurdle final. Plenty of good novices in here, maybe not top class. Horses that have finished second to the likes of A Third Time Lucky, etc, etc. I've got him in.
Geez, somehow it's unfortunately the Let's Talk Racing bingo. Those people that have Third Time Lucky in it will have to drink right now. Unfortunately, that's just the way it works. We'll see how many more time. We'll be in the middle of the Celebration Chase preview, and you'll somehow put the kettle on to Third Time Lucky in some regard. I've no idea why, but
Aidan Coleman rides for Ollie Murphy, and Ollie Murphy trains in a place called Wilmcote, and also the man that trains in a place called Wilmcote is Dan Skelton. Dan Skelton has a brother called Harry Skelton, and Harry Skelton rides Third Time Lucky. That's the link there. But let's head into the first race we've got to preview. Do you fancy one in this? It's ultra competitive.
Yeah, it's very competitive. Look, I've ended up falling on Rockstar Ronnie for the Skelton team. It looks like Harry's booked. Interesting to see, because Bridget's on their other horse, Gilo. I wasn't overly impressed, even though he won the last day. I thought he made a bit of a meal of it in what looked a fairly soft race. I would have been keen on No Risk Day Flow. He's a horse I like a lot, and depending on when this video goes out, he'll have either enhanced the form or non-enhanced the form, because he's running at Perth on Thursday. He's a horse I like a lot. He beat Rockstar Ronnie at Subtle, despite Rockstar Ronnie making the running and looking like he had No Risk Day Flow in a lot of bother until getting wound up after the last. He's won twice before then. Interesting to see that Harry Skelton's on this horse, and it probably wouldn't be one of my stronger plays of the day, but you're getting 9-1 about him, and I think that's a fair each way play in a very competitive race.
I quite like one at a big price that will definitely run here, I think. Raf Tavel, a horse I've been following quite closely this season, trained by Ben Pauling when I went up there at the start of the season. I think Ben was quite excited by him. He's in the Simon Manure and Isaac Suede colours, and the French form is really, really good. He was 8 lengths behind Hitman, giving him £8. Still a young horse, so he's got a big future. And he was also third, 7 lengths behind James de Burle in France. who ran in the Champion Hurdle, trained by Willie Mullins now. So he must be highly thought of to go into a race like that, especially as a young horse. He's going to hopefully make a good chaser next year. And with these French horses, sometimes they just need a bit of time to adjust. He's run twice on British soil. He's finished, I think, third and third again, but slightly closer on the last start. I think that he's going to progress into a nice horse for Ben Pauling. I think it just needs a little bit of time. I think he's 16-1, one of the outsiders in the race, and I think that race could cut up. So 16-1 now might be worth taking if you're watching this on Thursday. The Oaksie Chase comes at 2:30, 2 miles and 6 furlongs, won in 2019 by Black Corton. What a legend he was, and isn't it brilliant going on to Bryony Frost's Instagram story, seeing him enjoying life.
I look at it sometimes. It's great to see he was a winning machine, certainly, one year. I remember he went from winning novice chases around the likes of Worcester and Stratford in the summer to being placed in an RSA. I think he won a Reynoldstown as well. He was a brilliant horse, and they've obviously got Frodon in this race, very similar with the Bryony connection, and another winning machine, and probably not a race I'm going to have a bet on, but I think Frodon wins, personally speaking, and I'm probably been a bit snippy about Frodon in times gone by, but this doesn't look an overly strong race. He's a super horse. I thought he ran a gallant race in the Gold Cup. It was brilliant to see that jockey footage of Bryony cajoling him along, and he ran a storming race. The stamina did run out in the end, but back 2 miles 6, better ground. He's won on better ground before, and you just look at the rest of them. Mr. Fisher, I don't know how you could be going back to the well with Mr. Fisher. He's in the Windsor Avenue camp of cliff horses.
He's also had 2 pretty gruelling races.
Yeah, exactly. Look, the Ryanair was a real grueler, and he made some terrible mistakes, and then unseated the last day as well, quite far into the race as well. So it's not like he's been unseating at the first. I couldn't be having him. Itchy Feet's jumping leaves an awful lot to be desired. That being said, he did run well, given that in the Melling to come third. He ran on very eye-catchingly, and Benny's King, you'd like to hope he's not up to winning a Grade 2. Fair enough to Connections. They're more than entitled to go and have a pop at this race, and it'd be great if he was to win, but you'd like to hope there's a couple of horses in here that are a bit of better quality, and the form book would tell you there is. So Frodon for me in this, but probably a race I'm gonna watch and hope that Frodon wins. He's the best horse in the lineup, best jumper, most straightforward, and hopefully gets the job done for Paul Nicholls, who's just beaten his big winners, 172 winners he's now on to after 300 through 5-1 today. So he's had a brilliant season. Bryony Frost is brilliant on this horse all the time, so hopefully he goes and gets the job done.
I completely agree. I think Frodon will win this. I think he's just got too much class with him. The one that you could potentially side with is Itchy Feet, given the fact that he won the Grade 1 novice Scilly Isles there last year. But then again, if you look back at that race, Midnight Shadow, Champagne Platinum third, Grand Sancy was in behind. Poor race. Celebration Chase comes up next, and I've got a bit of a theory with this. Nube Negra goes to Punchestown, if you didn't know already, so he won't run. I'd imagine by the time you watch this video, that would have already been confirmed. He won't be in the decks. Who's going to win this, Andrew Blowhite?
Well, I'm going to let you fire away here. If you're saying you've got a full theory about this race, the Celebration Chase wouldn't be a race full of theories, so no. I'll let you take centre stage here and tell everyone who's going to win.
I think Altior is going to win this race. I think he'll beat Put the Kettle On. Put the Kettle On is a fantastic horse. She comes over, she won a Champion Chase, I'm beating around Cheltenham, but Sandown's a different test to Cheltenham. I've got a feeling, and you can't hold me to this, I've heard absolutely nothing. I think he'll win on Saturday and be retired after it. If you look back at Sprinter Sacra, he won the Celebration Chase as a 10-year-old, was retired after. And Altior, everyone knows he's coming to the end of his tether. Nicky keeps going on and saying that he'd still win the King's Stand. He's working really well, he's jumping for fun, schooling fantastically. Look at next year, and Shishkin was impressive at Aintree, got the job done. Does Nico pick Altior over Shishkin? No way in hell. Therefore, where's Altior going to run? Is he going to run a second string in a Champion Chase? Surely a horse of that prestige just needs to be retired. I think if all goes well and he runs his race in the Celebration Chase, I think he'll win it, and that'll be the end of Altior. That's my theory. What do you think?
Yeah, it's a great theory, and if you're clipping me and my Paul Nicholls bit. We're certainly going to have to clip that bit.
I'm going to clip it after he retires.
Yeah, sure you are, yeah. Because the amount of times I've seen you go, oh, geez, I just don't see it with Altior. He's just, I never took to him. All of this, and now you're a changed man, a rejuvenated man. Some might say.
I'm not saying that I love the horse, and I've made it very clear that I don't. All I'm saying is it would make sense for him to retire. He's going to be 12 next year.
Yeah, no, I think your theory is bang on in terms of that he's going to retire after this race. The only snag in your theory is him actually winning this race. Because I just don't know what Nicky's seeing anymore, just in terms of the jumping. I don't mind the travelling. He stays on forever. You know, the Sandown Hill has been his friend in the past. But God, he's jumping slow these days. It's so airy. Like, makes no length. Like, he loses length all the time now at fences, which over 2 miles in a Grade 1 race is a hard feat to go and then win.
Let's look at the field, and some of these aren't confirmed. The Gary Moore horse that won at Aintree is going to have to find plenty. Dolos isn't good enough. No. Ornea isn't good enough. Grenadine isn't good enough. Nube Negra is running at Punchestown. So you've got So Royale, Altior, Put the Kettle On. Put the Kettle On's never ran at Sandown and doesn't look like a world beater or a champion chase winner outside of Cheltenham. So Royale will run his race. Nicky's going to have him 100%. Absolutely 100%, or the best he possibly can have him. And is that good enough to win or to beat a Put the Kettle On or a So Royale? I think it might.
Yeah, look, it is a fine theory, and I wouldn't begrudge it. Look, I'm not one of Altior's biggest fans, but he's been a brilliant servant for the game. He's been a super champion chase winner in years gone by, and he deserves to finish on a very high note. I wouldn't begrudge that at all. And actually, I agree with your theory. I wouldn't be massively keen on Put the Kettle On either. Here, look, she's just super around Cheltenham, but as you've said there, she has to prove at almost any other track that she's a Grade 1 horse, because at no other track has she looked like a proper Grade 1 horse other than Cheltenham. She comes alive around there, and the other horse in there is the one I've landed on. I don't think you could find a more unlucky horse at Cheltenham this year than So Royale. He was almost brought down after 3 out. There was skirmishing on the bend, which came from Chacun Pour Soi, and he ended up coming 5th, only beaten 4 lengths. I know he usually does find a couple too good, and on overall form throughout his career he would be held by Altior, but he jumps slick. He's probably had, considering he's an ageing horse himself, he's probably had the year of his life this year. He won a few Grade 2s over hurdles to start the season. He's then progressed and run very well. He beat Champ in the 2 mile game Spirit. He then went on to run a very good race in the champion chase, and this might just be the day. He loves good ground. He'll be held up off the pace. Gary Moore's horse isn't good enough, but he'll force the pace, so there'll be a strong pace on. I think it could be good. Like, geez, Ornua's in this race. Ornua scraped in a veterans handicap to beat Fine Theatre at Paul Nolan's the other day at Wexford. Like, God love Fine Theatre, but God almighty, he's nowhere near a Grade 1 horse, and he's 13 years old. Like, I don't know how they're running Ornua in this, but I would take on Put the Kettle On, especially at the prices. I'd have thought Nube Negra would have been a cert in this race, personally speaking, but I'm going to go for So Royal. Hopefully it will be his day with the cards fall right in a Grade 1. He's 3-1. I think it could be his day to sit, pounce, and get a deserved win at Grade 1 level over fences.
Love it. The sit. I'd love to have a camera in your living room as you're watching that. It'd just be brilliant. But it is interesting with Nube Negra. Why is he going over to Punchestown? Maybe it's the English trainers trying to change things up, and maybe it's almost a strike. We're going to run our horses in Ireland next season at like a Dublin Racing Festival, because the prize money simply isn't good enough over here. And until you improve it, we won't come over, and that might work hand in hand, and that could be a way that the English trainers change things next season. I know there's rumours, and they had meetings as well, private meetings in Zoom calls, all the big British trainers to review Cheltenham, what went wrong, how can we change it for future years.
So we move on to the Bet365 Gold Cup, the big feature handicap chase. There doesn't seem to be a Sandown card where there isn't a big staying handicap chase to get stuck into. 3 mile 5. The weights will be different from when we're previewing it now, because Clan des Obeaux is currently at the top of the weights. He doesn't run. It's a very tricky handicap though. Henry de Bromhead seems to be bringing over Plan of Attack, who's in their joint favouritism. He fell in the Kim Muir when he looked like he was going to run a big race. Josh, would you be planning on going in on Plan of Attack yourself, or are you going to try and find something at maybe a juicier price and potentially try and keep the Bet365 Gold Cup? You haven't kept any other Gold Cup over in England, so you need to probably get this handicap over the line.
I was hoping you could tell me, actually. I saw these pesky Irish trainers and Rachel Blackmore coming over.
I wouldn't go near him at 4-1. God, he's an unreliable horse at the best of times. I think he saves his best for Cheltenham as well. I think the Kim Muir would have been the long-term aim of the whole year. He would have run a good race. He wouldn't have won though. And certainly a lot of his form this year would leave a fair bit to be desired. So he wouldn't be for me, but again, there were a couple of horses, Irish horses in handicaps at Aintree that wouldn't have been for me, the likes of Tronador, that have just gone and won, and you kind of then go, oh, well, why were they running them in the first place? But no, Plan of Attack certainly wouldn't be for me at 4-1. You'd be a braver man and have a bigger set of balls than myself.
Potterman for Alan King off 147. He's been put away for this. He's a good ground specialist. He doesn't want any of that tacky winter ground. The one thing with Potterman that we've not seen is the staying ability, the extra 5 furlongs. He's ran over 3 miles before, and I think 3 miles and 1 furlong, but maybe the extra 4 furlongs would be interesting to see if he stays. I've got a feeling they've had this as the target for a long while. Like 147, he's going to have to be a good horse, because Crosspark's going to be top weight off 150, so Potterman's going to be carrying 11 stone 9. I think it's a really tricky race, as a staying handicap at Sandown should be, especially a top one. 10-1 each way could be a reasonably nice price about him. What about you?
Yeah, you've absolutely stolen my thunder on Potterman here. I thought you wouldn't have gone near him yourself. This horse unfortunately broke my heart in the Badger Beers when he got beaten a short head. I had him at decent enough prices that day as well. He's been an improving horse. I'm just a little bit sceptical. His record fresh is a little bit hot and cold. He won when he was fresh in his younger years. Recently he's had a few blowout runs, but they've been perhaps over inadequate trips. This does look like a long-term plan. And the other one I actually will play with him, because I usually like playing two in a big handicap chase like this, is the horse that beat him in the Badger Beers, El Presente for Kim Bailey. I think similar comments can apply, except he's gone and got a prep run in. Didn't run brilliantly, but it looked like it was clearly in need, and perhaps a longer target down the line. It'd be interesting to see, especially those two horses on better ground. I think both have a very good chance. I think El Presente is 8 or 9-1, Potterman 10-1. That'll be the two I'll be playing against the field.
Kim Bailey trains You Never Call in the select hurdle. I quite like him. I think the race is going to cut up. Call Me Lord, you couldn't be massively confident that he'd stay 2 miles and 5 furlongs, especially if it's well run. Goshen runs at Punchestown on the blind side. Over the last season he's had plenty of runs. I know that Nicky Henderson ran him 3 times over the Christmas period within like 30 days. It was ridiculous. You Never Call, second run after a wind up as well, won the race last year. I see no reason why he can't make it 2 in a row for Kim Bailey. So You Never Call and Pick Dory. I'm not sure what prices they're going to be. I think the field will cut up.
Jeez, Let's Talk Racing listeners will either be in clover or will be throwing stones at us, because You Never Call will be my nap of the day, I must say. I just can't see him getting beat in this race. As you say, it's going to cut up massively. He seems to love 2 mile 5, 2 mile 6, good ground. He won this race back in 2019, the last edition of it, by 8 lengths, beating On the Blind Side. You've mentioned it. On the Blind Side's been a perfectly admirable horse this year, but he's had an awful lot of racing, and you got to wonder when time is gonna catch up with him. I think You Never Call is a little bit fresher. He won at the start of the season at Kempton over 2.5, then a good run, went 4th in the Long Walk Hurdle at Ascot. That's good form. The Paisley Park Time Hill Roxana form, was only beaten I think 7 or 8 lengths that day. Back to his preferred ground, preferred distance, likes this course and distance. I don't think it's much of a race in behind as well. I know you love this Pick Dory, but I can't see it myself. He cropped up once in a Betfair hurdle, but other than that he's been a very disappointing horse overall. So it'd be You Never Call for me, and he'd be my strongest bet of the day, I must say. Move on to the last race though, a bit of a juicier race, the Novices Handicap Chase. Another one struggling to get prices on quite at the moment, but very difficult to fathom, who's going to rock up. Who do you think's well handicapped? 2.5 miles. It's your last chance in the English National Hunt season to unearth a big handicap winner. Josh, the punters need you here. They need you. You need to throw them a bone for a last gasp winner. It's 92nd minute. We've hoofed it into the box. We need a header to go in.
There's 2 horses in this that are severely well handicapped. One being Killer Clown. I think that he's a grade 2 horse. I do think that Killer Clown will progress into a 150s rated horse. However, he wouldn't be the one for me. I really do like Killer Clown. The one that I like is Faranet for Venetia Williams, who's rated 134, won a listed race at Sandown last time, so you know that he'll like the course. I think 134 could still be lenient for him. He seems to me like a horse that could progress into, you know, that Iblio of Venetia Williams, just keep winning handicaps and progress into a 150 rated horse. He reminds me a bit of one of those. The only issue is with him, the ground. He's a French horse coming over. He's had 2 runs on British soil, both on soft. Venetia Williams horses seem to relish soft ground, and so do French horses as well. So if he gets the ground, I think there's no reason why he won't go close. But Killer Clown and Faranet, they'd be the 2. I back them both. Hopefully they're reasonable prices. If they're both 2 to 1 or 3 to 1, I'm going to look a bit silly. But Faranet for me, Skelton's got 20 entered in it, and they all ran about 8 days ago. So the race is going to cut up. Faranet for me, he'd be the one that hopefully finishes the season on a high.
Yeah, well, I'm going to throw a Hail Mary in there. I'm going to go to the well one more time with Zanza. He's been well fancied the last twice in 2 big 2-mile handicap chases. He was very unlucky in the Grand Annual and being brought down to a standstill. Just ran an eye-catching race in the Red Rum at Aintree, was behind, made a few mistakes early doors, ended up finishing without irons, having been hampered at the last. Was a fast finishing 6th. I think a step up to 2.5 miles, it's worth a try. I know of 145, he'll probably have to carry top weight in this race if it cuts up the way I think it may do. But I do think he's a classy enough individual. Mio Nolan keeps the ride, who rode a winner for Philip Hobbs today. So confidence is back there. This horse has been well fancied throughout the season by a few shrewd judges for those types of races, and potentially might be able to recompense some of those losses of Cheltenham at Aintree in this Sandown handicap over 2.5. If he gets into any type of rhythm, I think he'll be finishing fast and could well mow them down.
There you go. That's the final British National Hunt preview of the season. I can't get my words out. It's just so saddening. I feel sad. I don't know what I'm going to do tonight, but the one thing that is quite exciting, Punchestown next week. Punchestown.
Exactly, and there's actually some good horses running at Punchestown. So, yeah, so actually, you know, some Cheltenham winners are actually there. So, yeah, no, we can't wait to bring you some Punchestown coverage next week. Hopefully we'll get 3 or 4 videos out throughout the week.
Appreciate it, Bob Ollinger. Monkfish versus Envirolen. That could happen. It looks likely it's going to happen. Honeysuckle. Proper horses.
Yeah.
None of this Sandown, Altior, proper horses. I can't wait. Andrew, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for joining me as ever. And if you do enjoy this video, hit that like button. It massively helps the channel. Thank you so much for all the support during the festival period. I think we went up something like 2,000 subscribers in a month during that period, which was absolutely mind-boggling, crazy. And if you do enjoy the videos, thank you so much. Any last words?
Who's going to win the Guineas now, Josh? People will want to know.
Well, let's just end it there.